I'm Paul Page, and this is a pivotal race in this 1989 IROC series. Up to now, the drivers raced as hard as they could, tried to get up to the front, tried to win. But now, the question is one of points. As we take a look at the point standings currently, we see that Rusty Wallace is out in front. But any one of the top 7 drivers in the field could move up and be leading in the points at the end of the day. Now consider the points available here. The job of some drivers is to protect their position, most notably Rusty Wallace. For others, go as fast as you can, try to get up and get into a points lead. We take a look at the starting field as they move down the backstretch. In the front row, the silver car is Richard Petty. Jeff Brabham to the outside. The second row, two very similar cars. Rick Mears in the powder blue car. The aqua car is Bill Elliott. The third row, Hurley Haywood in the lime green car, and A.J. Foyt from the Indy cars to the outside. The fourth row, the red car is Al Unser Jr. That's Scott Pruitt on the outside. The fifth row, bright yellow car belongs to Danny Sullivan. Dale Earnhardt will be outside. He sits back just a bit right now. And that's all-important sixth and final row, Terry Labonte and the dark blue car of the points leader, Rusty Wallace. The pace car is off. The field begins to accelerate. And we're racing round number 3, the International Race of Champions. As high to the outside, that's Brabham, able to get a pull on Richard Petty. He got a very fine start. The rest of the field lines up, and remember, let's keep a close watch to the back row as Wallace has already moved up 2 positions as they come off of the second turn and head now for the high bank.
Bill Elliott is third. He's made a decent start from the second row.
Paul, I noticed that even Dale Earnhardt at the start lagged back, trying to get a run at that field, use that suction going down. You can see him cutting down on the inside right now, and that's Rusty Wallace underneath, trying to take advantage of it. Now, what these guys did, they laid back, got a run at the field, assuming that there would be a slow start, and sure enough, they were right. And you can watch Wallace and Labonte team up. Now you watch some other cars getting in on it. Now remember, 2 cars always run faster than a single car does. So whenever they're trying to go from the back to the front, it's better to team up with somebody because 2 of them will go faster. Look at right there, the dark blue car, the light blue car. That's Wallace and Labonte, and they're definitely teams.
2 of the veterans from NASCAR racing, recognizing that they have to team up. You have to find a friend. That's what they've done. But, boy, look how wide they're able to maneuver on the high banks here.
You know, another thing to remember, these NASCAR guys do this about 38 times a year, Paul, and a lot of super speedways. So they really kind of had a game plan in their mind before the race ever started. They probably never even discussed it before the race.
The point you made, Bobby, at the outset of the race, which is that the racing would be close because of these little chin spoilers, which you can see from these cameras mounted low on the front of the car. See that spoiler just there on the orange car of A.J. Foyt? It has made closer racing. They are able to maneuver close to each other as they go around here, despite the high speed.
Well, you can look at Rusty Wallace. Now, he's already up to about 5th place right now. Started in the back. The cars are running 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 abreast. That is good racing.
Well, Rusty Wallace started 12th, now running up in 5th. Dale Earnhardt, who started 10th, now comes around with the help of Jeff Brabham and picks up the lead. Brabham is side by side. That's Richard Petty sitting just back, and then A.J. Foyt, followed by Hurley Haywood.
You know, Brabham, leading at the moment, has absolutely no experience doing this kind of thing. He's a road racer, an excellent one, but this is something completely new to him. And to have a man like Dale Earnhardt in that pink car breathing down his neck to behave as well as Brabham is showing me a lot.
Terry Labonte makes a move down inside of Wallace, is able to forge past for the moment. That's A.J. Foyt in the orange car. Labonte moves up behind Foyt. Wallace drops in behind, and Elliott sits a little high there.
Foyt has really been hooked up in the stock cars lately. I think we remember watching Foyt at Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Just had one of the best races we've seen in 5 years. Foyt, it looks like he's doing another one here today, Paul.
Well, we talked about the great racing at Daytona. We're seeing it again here. The changes that they've made to these beautiful IROC Camaros have really paid off. Let's look at this. Right up underneath Richard Petty's car.
Camera shots like that we've never seen. That's really good. Look at Wallace pushing Labonte. Now what they're doing, all 4 of those cars are pushing each other, or 2 of them are pushing the other. They're trying to push them out so they can separate from the rest of the field. They're just lightly tapping them.
Right on board with Rusty Wallace as he closes up behind Labonte. Surprisingly, for the moment, for many, it is Jeff Brabham who has teamed up with Earnhardt, and Brabham leads it with Earnhardt running in second place. But again, these two cars, Labonte and Wallace, are the critical cars to watch because they are the points leaders, and they will want to protect their position moving to Watkins Glen. Runs in front and does so with the help of Dale Earnhardt. So we're seeing racing right through this 12-car field, a safe race to this point. No incidents and some great fighting.
I can't remember about Jeff Brabham. He is at NASCAR, and of course people have been expecting the NASCAR cars. Here comes a possible right there. There's Earnhardt, went right by Brabham. Two cars hooked right up. That's what those spoilers that Sam was talking about just a minute ago. There you can see on the left front fender of that car. That's what's really making them where they pass easier. But Jeff Brabham, as I was mentioning, really has a lot of IndyCar experience, and that's a lot of the experience that's helping him here today.
So now it's Terry Labonte that comes down and right at the stripe is able to nip past Earnhardt. Jeff Brabham continues in the fight. The GTP expert moves in right behind, but here comes Rusty Wallace as he comes down inside to challenge Brabham. Gets past Brabham and picks up third place.
You can watch Earnhardt running just off to the side, trying to get the marriage to his radiator ball. Also trying to make Labonte's front end push just a little bit. Understeer just a little bit.
The front of the field, Labonte and Earnhardt, and then Wallace, and then you can see those three have separated a bit from the rest of the field. Sitting back there just a bit is Al Unser Jr.
There is Haywood.
A.J. Boyd out in front, Jeff Brabham there. Nice little battle.
Three men, a lot of road racing experience. What I was going to say is, Labonte has been leading the most laps, which would score him 5 points. And as we look at the point situation, he could very well take the lead in the IROC Championship at the end of today. And as of this moment, if Labonte won with Wallace third, Labonte would take a 4-point lead into the last race at Watkins Glen.
And Sam, that is so important at Watkins Glen because the guys that start on the front have the advantage. Remember, $200,000 to the series winner.
And as we look now at the top three, which remain unchanged, you will notice that Scott Pruitt has closed up. He was able to drive here because he got no help at all. Now he's in fourth place and closed up along and behind Wallace and is beginning to help Wallace out.
As soon as those front leaders start trying to pass each other and start running side by side, they create a big hole in the air. And that was made it where Scott Pruitt could move right on up.
Now Pruitt decides he's going to help Earnhardt. He pulled into his draft. That gave him both speed. They were managing to move forward. Labonte still has the lead, and Wallace decided, I'm going to slide down here and get in behind Pruitt.
But I don't think Wallace was expecting Pruitt to be able to come up and go by so easily. And of course, it's all shows a lot of air, and maybe Pruitt's car is really suiting his driving style today.
So Scott Pruitt now up in third place behind Earnhardt. The leader is Labonte. Rusty Wallace, who is really the focal point, the points leader at this juncture, is the man running in fourth place. He would really like to get up into the front, pick up some more points, but then again, so would they all.
And keep in mind a little bit, Paul, that they're all trying to save enough tires, or at least I know the NASCAR guys. Well, there goes Pruitt, or excuse me, Earnhardt.
Bid by Earnhardt as he comes into the lead, using the advantage of Pruitt, but Pruitt doesn't take advantage of it, gets forced back into third place, and he's going to get sandwiched between Labonte and Wallace. So Scott Pruitt runs in fourth. The leader is now Earnhardt, then Labonte, and then Rusty Wallace. A.J. Foyt and Bill Elliott sit back just a bit. Terry Labonte makes a move for the lead as he comes alongside Earnhardt, and Rusty Wallace, ever watchful, is right there behind, but he votes with Earnhardt as they touch.
Yeah, it's a weird thing sometimes, like, who you gonna go with? You know, the guy on the right, guy on the left. Wallace came out the best, but in the meantime, he was right in between the two. Couldn't make up his mind.
You could see the indecision there, though, as he came up. He said, now, which one's really got the better position? Does Earnhardt have it, or does Labonte have it? He voted for Earnhardt. It really paved off, and Labonte got caught down to the low side, slid all the way back behind Pruitt.
Now, look at Wallace. Now, here, he's trying to hang Earnhardt way out of the back. He got by him. Now it's going to be a question. Well, they all lined right back up again. But you see, it would have been his advantage if somebody would have just stayed double right there. He'd have probably gotten away from him.
Coming off the corner, he's a little bit slower than Earnhardt, so Earnhardt can close right in and make another move here as they go into three.
The interesting thing in this mix is that you have three men who are experienced oval track racers who race against each other every weekend like this, and one man, Scott Pruitt, who is a real wild card and may yet become a factor in the last laps as to who wins this thing.
That's right, Sam. And right now, if you watch them, they'll race for a little bit, get side by side, pass each other for a little bit, then get right back in line the way you see them right now. And that's to save the tires. They got to let those tires cool off a little bit and have some for later.
And you see there is Earnhardt dropping out of the line just a bit to try to get some of that cooling. Pruitt has now dropped back into 4th place, and just behind there is A.J. Foyt, who has managed with the help of some of the drivers behind him to close the distance and is beginning to close on the top 4.
Well, that was part of it, but it was also that period of 3 laps of dicing among the 4 leaders that slowed them up just enough. And, Bobby, don't you think that is why they went back to single file? Because they looked back and they said, whoops, the pack back there is starting to catch us.
Absolutely, Sam. It wasn't the back pack that speeded up. It was the front pack that slowed down from racing each other.
4th place is Scott Pruitt. He's a man who loves video games. Any chance he has, he'll play a video game, go to an arcade. As a matter of fact, we asked him about the fact that he brings video games on the road with him.
Well, I've been, playing video games a long time, and, it's just a great way for hand-eye coordination. I've seen studies done. They've done a lot with Roberto Guerrero after his crash for hand-eye coordination. Now, Nintendo had a program where you take it on the road with you, and it's, in motel rooms, it gets boring anyway, and if you can do something that's entertaining as well as good for you, at least from what I can tell it is, I'm all for it.
He also brings with him to the races a trainer with whom he trained, exercises his muscles, long-distance running.
Veterans are back battling. Earnhardt comes inside Wallace. They're neck and neck coming through the second turn. Labonte sits back just a bit. Pruitt pulls up to give Labonte some advantage. A tough position to maintain for Earnhardt. Look at Labonte now is on the backstretch. He comes inside Earnhardt. The second time we see him 3 abreast. Going into 3. Look at that, though. Labonte from 3rd out in front. Earnhardt drops back, touches Wallace. As they run side by side, they scrape paint all the way through the corner. Pruitt decides to try it low. A.J. Foyt comes up behind Rusty Wallace. Now Foyt comes down low. Look at this. 4 cars abreast, and look into that crowd.
A.J. Foyt taking the lead. He was 2.5 seconds back just 7 laps ago. He made that up. He used the momentum.
An incredible drive by A.J. Foyt. Was running in 5th place. Used the advantage of the pack behind them. I'm sure he was waving to him. Come on up and race with me. Here is Foyt out in front.
Boy, don't you know he got all those guys' attention now. Now we've got an IndyCar guy back in 2nd place. There comes Earnhardt by Foyt, Wallace. They team right up together. You can see one helping the other one along. Foyt just slid back another notch there. But where do you see racing this good?
Nice little battle that gives the advantage, though, still to the 1st place car of Terry Labonte. Take a look here. That 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Labonte, during that fight, was able to pull away a little bit and get out of the battle. There you see Labonte out in front, and he's out in front by a full half a second, which in the IROC is an eternity. So Terry Labonte is up in front of this field, having moved up from the 2nd to last position. But we're seeing some great racing in round number 3 of the International Racing Championship.
Oh, the life of a typical dandruff.
Front group has been able to totally get away, break the slipstream. They get to fighting and get into a good race. They slow right down. Here comes the back group right up. Now look at the race we have again.
A.J. Foyt, the orange car, number 7, rides in 4th place, closes up behind Wallace. Once you reach the level you have in racing, A.J., how tough is it to remain there?
If you're going to be on top, you're going to have to give it 110% of your time. I know when I was winning everything, that's all I did. Eat, sleep, and dream racing. That's what I got to do now to get back in the winning column. I've kind of let it slide, but these boys that's coming up, they got one thing in mind. That's win the race and beat you, whoever their name is. So for you to be competitive, you got to get back and give 100%.
A.J. Foyt in the IROC runs in 4th right now. It makes you wonder if he was able to devote the time to testing in the Indy cars like many of the other teams are capable of, where he might be running in the Indy cars right now, because he virtually has no test time at all. Now, let's go down to the pitch. Here's Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, one of the things that we found out from Jay Signori today is during practice, Jay, you discovered kind of the opposite of what you think tires should do. The longer you had them on the car, the better they seem to adhere to the track. Well, we came here a couple of months ago and did a lot of testing with Goodyear to come up with a superior tire, and I think we finally made that really happen on this particular racetrack. We have a good compound on it. We have a new construction on it.
Now, one of the things that may account for it as well, as you know, is the fact that we're running down on fuel that lightens the cars up just a bit, Paul.
Out in front, Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, A.J. Foyt, and then Bill Elliott rides just behind them. And Al Unser Jr. is trying to hold his position with a charging Scott Pruitt coming in there. Earnhardt takes the low line, and Labonte really got forced up high as they come along side by side once again. Wallace gives his aid to Earnhardt. Labonte is out running alone. The advantage again comes to Earnhardt, but can he hold it down into the first turn?
Well, they've got to move, Paul. They can't wait much longer. The racing is, their tires are cool. They're back to it again. Poor Labonte now has led quite a few laps during the middle stages, and he's slowly beginning to slide back because the other guys have teamed up.
41 laps complete, 9 to go.
We have never seen an IROC race come this close to the finish with this many people capable of winning it.
Not only that, as you watch around, watch about that little spoiler that Sam and I have been talking about on the left front fenders. Whenever you see shots coming from the side, you can see those little spoilers. And just imagine, that's all it's taken to make this IROC series one of the finest races that we've ever seen.
Well, you think he's not in it. Just take a look at A.J. He checks the mirrors. He works the wheel. He's in there driving that car. A.J. Foyt looking good here in the IROC.
Were the race to end right now, there would be a three-way championship tie between Labonte, Wallace, and Earnhardt. Just food for thought.
A.J. Foyt, Scott Pruitt down to the low side as Foyt closes in now behind Rusty Wallace. Wallace and Foyt battle. Out in front, Dale Earnhardt. Terry Labonte is in second. We'll be back.
Dandruff.
Champions at Michigan International Speedway. And it looks like the start of this race all over again now with just 14 miles to go of the 100-mile scheduled distance. Out in front is Earnhardt. Second place is Labonte, but look up, and they're all lined up right together.
Boy, just think, 75% of the field is right there. Now look at them split and they go again. Now this is good racing because those guys just use that air to get by the others.
Wallace closes up behind Labonte, makes a move for the lead. It's clear track in front for the moment. The points leader moves to the inside. Labonte down the middle. That's Earnhardt high, with Foyt closing in to give a little bump and go to Earnhardt.
If you had to pick somebody and say, well, which car's the very best today? It's got to be Labonte. He's been in the lead more than the other guys, but boy, he doesn't stay there very long, Paul.
On board with A.J. Foyt. Look at him crank that wheel over as he slams into the walls that are the high banking here at Michigan.
Now you no longer have the luxury of considering what one or two other men are going to do. You have to consider what 4 or 5 other men are going to do.
8 cars, Sam, right in one line.
And look at Rusty Wallace. He was running up at the front. He's now dropped back to 5th. It's become critical for you not to get out of position and for you to make your moves perfectly. Wallace is forced to move in behind Bill Elliott.
Labonte has led the most laps. He's led 28 laps of this race.
Elliott close in behind Foyt. There's Elliott sitting just ahead as they begin to gobble up the asphalt, running right at 160 miles an hour around these tremendous banks here at Michigan International.
From that shot, you can see how nice the shock absorbers work. The cars are just so gentle through the very slight bumps. Roger Penske's beautiful Michigan track.
Well, Jay Signori and the IROC crew, the men who prepare these cars, have really done a marvelous job. As look at this, little Al comes down the inside, comes alongside Wallace, and puts the challenge on there, but he can't hold on to it that low. Look at the back end track on Al's car.
He's kind of stuck down there cutting his own air. He's in a bad place, but you have to try something. He has nothing to gain if he doesn't give it a try this late in the race.
On board the front bumper cam with Wallace for a second there, so tight that it was almost totally dark as he moved up behind Foyt's car.
Now, they're leaving Foyt down there all by himself. He's got to get back up in there. Foyt is slowly slipping back as he got out of the groove a little bit, or out of the line of cars.
And what does that leave? But the NASCAR men, the Winston Cup men, running 1, 2, 3, 4 right now.
8 lead changes thus far among 5 drivers, and Terry Labonte is out in front once again with Earnhardt riding in second place and Rusty Wallace riding in third. Elliott sitting just behind Wallace.
I think you see a lot of these guys, the NASCAR guys here, that are really used to each other's driving. So they have a tendency to team up a little bit better like the IndyCar cars would, or IndyCar guys would, because they don't drive that many stock cars.
And they're used to the weight of the cars, and I think they're just that bit more savvy about how not to scrub the tires and heat them up. Don't you think, Bobby?
Yes, absolutely.
Labonte sits unchallenged in front now, but with his work cut out is Dale Earnhardt. Look at Labonte. He comes down to the inside, trying to find every bit of racing room he can and keep anybody off his back end. Labonte trying to protect his position against the charging Wallace.
Now, they're going to have to team up to catch Labonte right now. They can't race each other. Like right now, there's not that much time left. They're going to have to team up and just hope they catch Terry Labonte right that way, Paul.
This win would mean an awful lot for Labonte, who is leaving his Winston Cup team, Junior Johnson's team, at the end of the year and is on the open market. A success here is a very big factor for him. A lot of motivation.
Just under 4 miles to go now for Terry Labonte, running in the front of the field. Started back in 11th starting position in the last row. The real fight seems to be developing. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Labonte runs alone.
He's just zigzagging completely across the track, trying to keep anybody from getting any draft or any slipstream behind him, and it seems to be working a little bit right now.
Looking ahead to Earnhardt. Just in front of him, Labonte runs, and look at how hard that car compresses over as he leans into the corners.
Earnhardt has never managed to win one of these IROC races. He's been this close before. Can you imagine his motivation right now?
The white flag is out. 1 lap to go. That's Pruitt down on the low side of Elliott.
Look out.
As everyone begins to close in now, and Labonte loses a little bit of the advantage he had to the backstretch on the final lap. Just about a mile to go now to the conclusion of this 100-mile race. Round number 3 of the International Race of Champions. Rusty Wallace closes now on Earnhardt.
No time left for teamwork. You just have to go for your own right now. Do the best you can.
Exactly what Wallace is doing. He tried to the high side, the battle for 2nd place, as Labonte comes toward the line. Labonte screams toward that checkered flag, picks it up, followed by Earnhardt, Wallace, Elliott, Al Unser Jr., and Scott Pruitt.
Well, I tell you what, it was a lot of fun out there today. You know, the competition's so tough. I discovered yesterday when I was running behind some other cars, my car started pushing. So I thought it was important to try to get to the front and stay there and save my tires as good as I could. And that's what I was able to do. I was really concerned with Rusty and Dale behind me. And, of course, Bill and Al Unser Jr. were behind them. And, you know, those guys are awful tough. So I just hung on with all I had.